Vallo's husband, a lot of attention has been put on him. Chad Daybell is his name. He was questioned in Kauai after the suspicious death of his wife. Now, of course, there's a lot of attention on him. What is his deal? Well, he's got some unique beliefs. Watch this.
Chad's one of my favorite people. In fact, he used to be in Springville, and then we followed him to Rexburg. Yeah.
Depending on how you knew Chad Daybell.
Chad and I go back about 30 years. We actually served in the same mission in New Jersey.
Depending on where or when you met him, you might have a different picture than the uncooperative person of interest at the center of a search for 2 missing children.
He's on the run? Is that what's going on? Or whatever, that he's under suspicion? This is crazy.
A different picture than the man who remarried not even 2 weeks after the sudden death of his first wife, Tammy. Family members say Chad told them she went to bed coughing and never woke up. She was 49 years old, and investigators are waiting for autopsy results to find out if she died from something other than natural causes.
I've recently released my autobiography entitled Living on the Edge of Heaven, where I tell more about my 2 near-death experiences and how that prompted me to write my novels.
Chad claims almost dying left him with 1 foot in the spirit world, the other in the physical world.
He talks about dozens, if not hundreds of visions. That's a lot of clues, right?
Those are absolutely clues. 2 books that I'm going to read first. Autobiography and his last publication. Those are where we're going to start. And in true fashion of what you have done, we may see hidden messages in these writings.
Chris Bertram is a criminal profiling expert who has worked with the FBI on other cases, but is not involved in this one. He says Chad is different than most and may have given investigators a roadmap to help find JJ and Tylee.
It's less common for someone to write an autobiography.
Absolutely. You don't see that.
At the beginning of that autobiography is a dedication to his wife, Tammy, who was still alive at the time, my one and only. The book describes marrying Tammy at the Manti Temple and working as a gravedigger at the same cemetery where she would later be buried. He believes their 5 children will have a role to play in the second coming of Jesus Christ. Just one of his many prophecies about the end of the world.
You absolutely have to go follow that up.
His books go on to say the world will end with earthquakes and hailstorms, floods and fires. He believes the U.S. government will require humans to receive microchip implants, and that the country will be invaded by Chinese and Russian forces with help from the United Nations.
He believes that what he is hearing, gives him direction in his life.
As for Chad's new wife, Lori, divorce paperwork filed in her previous marriage indicates she was also obsessed with the end of the world, telling her now deceased husband, Charles, she is a reincarnated God who would murder him if he got in the way of her mission.
He goes out there, but he doesn't go that far out.
Lori's family members believe her new husband's books changed her, even though Chad's autobiography states he does not believe in reincarnation.
He's making some pretty strong assertions. He just knows that there's a line and he's going to stay behind that line. We may find out later that religion played nothing into this, that it was all motivated by money maybe, or was motivated by a relationship.
Are those the big 3? Religion, love, and money?
I think those are definitely the ones that you want to start with.
And that was Adam Haberts. Thanks to him and his reporting. Still with me, Judge Phyllis Collins and criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Marcia Minot. A little look into the world of Chad Daybell, his prolific writings. He's got lots of books, and he's predicting the end of the world, the microchips, the UN, all of the conspiracy theory type of things. Huge red flag for mental instability. And if we fast forward now to any sort of criminal proceeding that has to do with either one of them, this is going to be a big part of the case, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and it reminds me of cases like David Koresh and Jim Jones and all the fate that all those people suffered, and you have to feel sorry to the followers to a certain extent. And I think that Ms. Vallo's family has told media that this was very out of character for her. That as maybe 2 or 3 years ago, she was just a regular mom who was a good person and doing a good job as a parent. So. To that extent, I do feel a little bit sorry for her, and I would try to use that in defending her.
It's sad because she's the one now who is in the crosshairs. She's the one who was in jail. He is free. It's hard to convict. Charles Manson is somebody that was successfully convicted for not doing anything except using his mind to make others do it. But very rare do you find that, Marcia, because it's very difficult to convict without someone pulling the trigger or doing X, Y, and Z.
It is, but there are charges as it pertains to conspiracy, and if they charge you with conspiracy and the statute allows that if there's any conduct that you engaged in furtherance of the commission of the crime, you can still be charged although you are not the actual individual that caused the death.
The big question is, are the kids still alive? Is there a chance that the kids are still alive? And there is, because this is a cult scenario, right? If that's the upside of this cult, if you will, I don't know if they call it what they call it, but this group of people who are following Chad Daybell and who are like-minded, there are more of them. In fact, Lori's niece was in Phoenix court yesterday. Her ex-husband, they're going through a divorce. Her ex-husband says she knows where the kids are. And because she follows Lori, she's dedicated to Lori. She was in court yesterday saying she did not know, and her lawyer said that she is cooperating with police. But that is the upside to this cult scenario, because they could be on some compound, right?
I agree completely, and that is the good news in this case. Unlike the 15-month-old baby that's missing, we sadly think that probably she's not alive anymore. But in this scenario, I think there is a good chance that these children are alive, and that if Lori would cooperate, and provide the information they're looking for, that they could get these children back safely. But probably some bad stuff's happened to them, but at least maybe they're alive.
Yeah, and you think of like the FLDS, the War and Jest, that were, as a country, we don't want laws put in place that are going to impede on our ability to conduct our lives the way we want to. On the other hand, as a society, the downside is law enforcement is hamstrung in a lot of cases when you have a group saying they have their own communities, no thank you, and they push the outside world out. When there's a crime committed within those jurisdictions, it's tough to get in there, because legally they have every right to conduct themselves the way they want to.
They do, but it's difficult to regulate or legislate morality, and that's what the balancing act is, as it pertains to passing laws to say you're unable to practice your own religion and you're unable to conduct yourself or to raise your children in the manner you deem fit. My concern about these children is that cults usually will do sacrificial things, and if the children were sacrificed, then they're gone. And that may be why mom has not turned them over already. Because usually once you're arrested, you pretty much start going, okay, let me tell you where they are. The fact that she has not expressed where these children are already, either via her attorney or communications through some family members to the prosecution, makes me concerned.
There's some evidence, I guess, out there that there's the storage facility. There's surveillance video of this storage facility, and it appears as though it's Lori and it's Chad Daybell and it's Lori's brother. That's Lori's brother's vehicle, apparently. And they're calling in and out these totes, which many people are speculating that could be the bodies of the children. That, I believe, is Lori's brother's truck. He ends up dead, Lori's brother, after this scenario takes place. These little bits of evidence, there's the tote, it seems very heavy. There's a lot of speculation that could be a body. We hope not, but the bottom line here is there are bits and pieces of evidence. There's bits and pieces. This investigation has been not only in Idaho, but also in Hawaii. Where do you see this case going? If fast forward now that she's in custody, if you had to guess, where do you think this is going, Judge?
I think it's going to be a murder charge. I mean, if she's not willing to say where the children are, I mean, if you're facing a murder charge and you're not willing to say where your children are, then, I think it's appropriate to charge that person with murder. I mean, it may be a tough case to prove, but it's probably enough to charge that you got an autistic boy, 7 years old, I think, and you won't say where he is. When they're accusing you of some kind of foul play or wrongdoing. I understand maybe, you a right to privacy and you want to put them with a cult and whatever, but I mean, when you're facing a possible murder charge, you maybe say, well, you can't go get them because I've given them permission to be there and that's where I want them, but you at least give the information.
Marcia, is a no-body prosecution doable?
It's doable, and proper investigation and DNA testing can tell if the children are actually in that location where the buckets were being transported and in the storage facility, because DNA is hard to hide. So I'm hopeful that law enforcement has had an opportunity to be able to tell if the children are actually there. If they've been dismembered and placed in plastic containers, there's blood somewhere. So I believe prosecution without a body would be doable.
All right. When we return, the latest in the Robert Durst's his next trial. He's already beaten charges in Texas. It's on to California for Robert Durst. We're going to preview that coming up after this. Stay with us.